I hear this all the time. Mark, Strata fees are a scam. I'm already paying a mortgage. Now I have to pay another $500 just to live there? Yeah, I get it. It feels frustrating. You're looking at your budget and that extra $400 to $600 every month. It feels like money that's just disappearing into a black hole. But here's the real question. Are you getting actual value or are you just throwing your money away? I'm Mark with KelownaCondos.ca and I've been helping people navigate the condo market for 24 years. Today, I'm going to break down exactly what you're paying for with strata fees, how to spot a well-managed building versus a poorly managed one, and when strata fees are actually a problem. Now let's get started. Here's what people who have never owned a strata might not realize. Strata fees aren't just one thing. They cover 4 categories of building expenses. Let me show you how this actually breaks down in a well-managed Kelowna building. First, you have day-to-day operations. This typically accounts for about 40% of your monthly strata fee. There's property management fees, common area cleaning, landscaping, snow removal, garbage collection, building maintenance, fire alarm monitoring, general repairs to keep the building running. In a full amenity building, you're also paying for the pool and hot tub maintenance and the fitness room equipment. Someone has to keep the building running, and that costs money. Second, building utilities. This is usually around 30% of your fee. This is going to cover water and sewer for the entire building, electricity for the lobbies, elevators, parkades, amenities, hallways, natural gas for the common area heating, and cable for the shared services. Now, some buildings, they're going to include heat and hot water for all the units, but the building that I used for this example, it doesn't. But you're still paying for all the common area utilities that keep the building functioning. The electricity bill for the elevators, the heating for the parkades in the winter, and the pool in the summer, it can add up. Third is building insurance. This is typically around 20% of your monthly fee. This covers the structure itself, all the common property, the liability coverage for the strata corporation. And if you owned a house, you would be paying this separately. In a condo, it's built into your monthly fee. And here's something important. Insurance in BC has skyrocketed over the last 5 to 7 years. This is one of the biggest reasons why strata fees took such a huge jump in 2019. Fourth, the Contingency Reserve Fund. In a well-managed building, this is going to be about 15% of the monthly fee. This is money set aside for all future repairs. Roofs don't last forever, parkades need resurfacing, elevators need replacing, and boiler systems wear out. Well-managed buildings plan for these expenses years in advance, and they fund them through monthly contributions to the contingency reserve. Poorly managed buildings, they don't update the depreciation reports, and then they hit owners with special assessments when something breaks. Now, here's something that surprises a lot of first-time condo buyers. Your strata fee is based on your unit size, and it's also based on your parking stall and storage locker in some cases. If you own a 1,200 square foot unit with 2 parking stalls and a storage locker, you're probably paying strata fees on all of that. That's why older, larger units often have higher fees than newer, smaller units. It's not necessarily that the building's poorly managed, you just own more of it. So that's what you're actually paying for. But here's where it gets interesting. A lot of people assume that owning a house means you have no monthly fees. And technically, that's true. You don't get a bill every month labeled homeowner fee, but you're still paying for all the same things. Let's talk about major repairs. A new roof in Kelowna on a house costs $20,000 at least. Replacing your furnace, $10,000 to $15,000. New windows, $20,000, $30,000, depending on the size of your home. When you own a house, there is no reserve fund. When something breaks, you got to pay for it immediately. In a well-managed condo, these costs are planned for and they're funded over time. In a house, every major repair essentially becomes a one-time special assessment that you got to pay. You still have monthly maintenance costs for lawn care, irrigation systems, snow removal, exterior maintenance, and pool maintenance if you have a pool. If you're doing it yourself, then you're spending your time. If you're hiring it out, you're spending money. Either way, you're covering what a strata corporation handles for condo owners. Now, when you buy a house, you get a home inspection. This inspection is going to tell you what's worn out, what needs replacing soon, and what you should budget for in the future. In a condo, you get strata documents. In the strata documents, there's the depreciation report. This is your building's version of a home inspection. It tells you what major repairs are coming, when they're expected, and how much they're going to cost. Reading the depreciation report and the Form B is the single most important thing you should do before buying a condo in Kelowna. This is where you find out if the building is planned ahead or if they're just kicking problems into the future. When you own a home, you're paying for maintenance, whether it's a condo or a house. The real question for both types of ownership is, are you going to have to pay for the past owner's share? Because just like a condo, if the previous owner of the house you're buying neglected the furnace or anything else, you're getting a special assessment. If this breakdown helps you understand strata fees a little bit differently, hit the subscribe button. Every week, I go over the condo market so you can make smarter decisions about where and how to buy. Now let's talk about when strata fees actually become a problem. Here's the thing. High strata fees don't automatically mean that the building's poorly managed. And low strata fees don't automatically mean that you're getting a good building. What matters is what you're getting for those fees. Let me show you what I look for when I'm helping clients compare buildings. Red flag number 1, a low contingency fund relative to the depreciation report. If a 120 unit building is 20 years old and the contingency fund only has $75,000 in it, that might be a problem. Remember, 15% of your monthly fee should be going into the reserve fund. If it's not, or if the reserve fund balance doesn't reflect years of proper contributions, somebody's going to have to pay. Buyers are often attracted to low fees because they think they're saving money. But what they might be looking at is a building that hasn't been funding the future repairs. When the roof needs replacing or the boiler breaks, there's no money to cover it. That's when owners get hit with special assessments. I've seen special assessments that were more than my first house. Red flag number 2 is deferred maintenance. This is when a building puts up a fresh coat of paint in the lobby, but they ignore the fact that the windows are 30 years old and the roof is still original. Cosmetic updates look great, but they have little to do with the major building systems. Well-run buildings, they do the boring, expensive stuff first. Poorly run buildings, they do the lower cost cosmetic work, and they just assume that nothing's going to break. Red flag number 3, a massive fee increase after no years of increases. Strata fees should increase gradually over time to keep pace with inflation, insurance costs, and aging infrastructure. If a building has kept their fees frozen for years and then suddenly increases them by 30%, that's a sign that they've been underfunding the reserve fund. Now, here's how you can actually check this before you buy. The Form B is the first document that you should read in the strata package. It shows you the building's current budget, the contingency reserve, any planned special assessments, and any major expenditures coming up. You want to see that the reserve fund is growing, the contributions align with the depreciation report recommendations, and that there are no surprise levies on the horizon. Here's a quick test that I use to compare buildings. Take the monthly strata fee and divide it by your unit square footage. For example, if your strata fee is $515 and your unit is 1,475 square feet, that works out to 35 cents a square foot. Some buildings in Kelowna are going to be closer to 55 cents or even 65 cents a square foot. This isn't a perfect test, but it gives you a quick sense of how one building is going to compare to another one. Here's a disclaimer though. This is just a quick comparison tool. You must read the full strata package before you buy. Here's the reality. Well-managed buildings hold their resale value. Buildings with poor management and deferred maintenance, they might become very difficult to sell. I've seen units sit on the market for months because buyers read the strata documents and they walked away. The trade-off is this. You're paying a monthly fee for stability, predictability, and long-term asset protection. So here's my answer when people question strata fees. Strata fees aren't a scam. They're a monthly homeowner expense that's just structured differently than owning a house. Poorly managed buildings can feel like a scam because you're paying for something that you didn't do, and that's a real concern. But when you're in a well-run building with proper planning and good financials, you're paying for predictability. You know what your monthly costs is. You know what major repairs are funded, and you're not gambling on emergency expenses. The mistake isn't buying a condo. The mistake is not understanding how important the strata documents are and not knowing which buildings to avoid. If you're looking at condos and you want somebody who knows condos, let's talk. Shoot me a message. I would love to chat about your situation and how I can help you find a condo that works for you. You can find my booking link in the description below. Before you go, drop me a comment. Have you ever been surprised by strata fees in a building you looked at? I read every comment and I would love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.